Hello, this is Robin. Welcome to all my new friends and the ones been with me from the beginning. We're going to play peekaboo again with the light. I'm sorry about the lighting again, but it is what it is. Is that better? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it's going to have to be doable. Um, I want to do another Keeping It Real series today. And I'm allowed to keep the sling off 3 times a day now, so I figured, why not do one without the sling for a change? Um, Again, these are my views, my opinions. I'm not pushing anything on anybody, and it's just things that I think about that I want to talk about. And maybe some of you out there will, relate maybe. Um, let's get started. I want to talk today about being in and staying in an abusive relationship. I know this is a very, very touchy subject again, and I will have people that agree with me, and I will have people that disagree with me, and that's fine. That's okay. I welcome your comments. I welcome your views. I welcome your thoughts. You know, your like, come into the conversation with me. I don't have a problem with that. That's why I do these. If anybody has an opinion or advice for maybe somebody that's out there that I didn't touch on, put it in the comment box below. This is what I want. I want the communication back with the Keeping It Real series. Um, I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I never claimed to be. Um, I used to work in a women's shelter for physically and mentally abused men, women, and children. And I also used to do hotline calls. That's where people would call into a hotline, and the hotline service would call me and give me their name and phone number, and I would call them, and we would talk about whatever they felt like talking about, whatever was bothering them. If they needed help getting out of a situation that they was into, um, there would be people contacted to meet them in what would you call a safe place, and try to help them get into the shelter, whether it be just them or them and their children. So I did that for a while. I did hotline calls for several years. Um, so that being said, it's very, very, very hard to get out of that kind of a situation, especially if they have you feeling like nobody's going to want you, nobody's going to take care of you, you're unable to take care of yourself. Who's going to want a woman that's already been with somebody else? Who's going to want a woman with kids? You'd be surprised. You really would be surprised if you have the strength and the courage to understand that you are worth more. You were not put on this earth to be beat like a dog. You were not put on this earth to have somebody put their hands on you or your children. And your children do not need to be raised in an environment like that, because, God forbid, when they get older, especially the females, they might think that that's the way a relationship is supposed to be. And it's not. It's an illness, it's a sickness. Um, Whether it be the men abusing the women or the women abusing the men, it's not right. It's not right to put your hands on another person. Um, you know, I just hope that you know there's help out there. You can call 911, you can call um, your local shelter service. Um, there's all kinds of services out there, and each state is different. So, I can't tell you who to call other than 911. That would be the main person, and they would be able to help you get in contact with different people that you need to help get you out of the situation that you're in. I'm mainly here just to tell you you're worth more than that. You and your children, you have to watch out for your children. If you don't watch out for them, who do you think's going to? And you are worth more. You are a person with feelings and emotions and a life. And that is not the kind of life that you want or need to be in. I don't care how bad the man or woman emotionally makes you feel or threatens you. You know, I know you're scared. I know it's hard. That is one of the hardest things to get out of is an abusive relationship. Believe me, there is, you know, there's not enough words that I could express to anybody how dangerous and sad and painful that kind of relationship is to be in. It just drains you. It drains you. It makes you feel worthless. It makes you feel like you can't make it on your own. And a lot of that is because of the abuser putting that in your head, especially if you've been in it for years and years and years. Please know, please believe me, that's not right. That's not true. You can be a very strong person. You get put in a corner and you get backed up enough and you get fed up enough, you would be amazed at what you yourself can do to give you and your children or just yourself a better life. And there is help out there. There's a lot of help out there. You just have to do a little bit of exploring and find out from your local police station, your local welfare station would have information on where you could call and get help. There's usually some sort of shelters in your area, in your hometown. And I know that sounds awful, picking you and your kids up out of the house that they were maybe raised in, where their beds are, where it's their home, regardless of what kind of home it is, it's their home. But it's not the right kind of home to raise them in. It's really not. And then your boys grow up to think, well, dad beat my mom, or my mom beat my dad, and they stayed, so that must be an okay relationship. I'm telling you, it's not. It's not. And it just continues going around and around and around if you continue to stay in that kind of relationship. And you are worth so much more. You are loved, you are cared for. A lot of you might have family that would be willing to help you, take you in, help you get on your feet again. I know a lot of shelters, at least the one I used to work for, they had a home plan. They would bring you and your children in. They would feed you. They would help you get clothing. They would counsel you. They would counsel the children. It was like a safe house, Nobody knew where that place was except for you. Now, unless you went out blabbing to people where you're staying, but you are not supposed to do that. It's confidentiality, and that's why it's called a safe place. It's for you and your children and other women and men that are going through the same thing. 99% of it is women, at least the one that I worked in. I don't think we've ever had a gentleman client, but that was when I worked there. I don't know what it's like now. But I just wanted to touch base with this issue. Again, I can't reiterate enough that please don't stay in that relationship, because it seems like each time you get your hands put on, or someone put their hands on you, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then the next thing you know, you're in the hospital, recuperating, being afraid to go back home again, that it might happen again. And it's just a repeating cycle. And then your kids grow up in that same situation and think it's okay to do the same thing. And it's not okay. Churches is another major, major place that will help you. If you go to church, talk to your pastor. Talk to one of the people that you feel safe with in the church, that you can, believe and trust. If you have a good neighbor or a good friend, and you're hiding a lot of what is going on. Confide in somebody, confide in them. Maybe you go to counseling, maybe you see a psychiatrist. They would be another really important source to talk to. There's hotline services that you could call. There's just so much information and so much help out there. And I don't want to beat this up, this topic over and over and over again. But please know that you are loved, you are respected, you are worth more than what they are making you feel like you are worth. And I know it's scary. It's one of the scariest things that you are probably going to ever go through in your life. And believe me, if you continue to stay and allow it to happen, I know I'm not saying you're allowing it to happen, that it's your fault. It's not your fault. I don't mean that in the least. It's not your fault. Anybody that chooses to put their hands on you or a child, it is not your fault. It's their fault. It is a sickness. It is an illness that they need severe help with. And if not, put in jail. Because I'm telling you, I feel very, very strongly about this. It's not a subject that a lot of people will talk about, but I will. And I'll continue talking about it. And if you have any questions or, things that you want me to touch upon, comment in the box below. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but I have dealt with these situations before quite a bit. Believe me, quite a bit. And I know more about what I'm talking about than a lot of you may know or understand, but that's my prerogative, not to talk about certain things of my life because I choose not to. But believe me, get out of the situation before you can't get out of it, before it's too late. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody, but it's the truth. A lot of women don't make it out of the situation when they have a chance. Again, I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt anybody. That's the least of my thoughts on here. I just want you to know that there is help. There is people that you can confide in and trust and know that they will be there for you and they will do everything they can to help you get out of that kind of situation, because you're loved, you're respected, and you have rights. You have rights. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to put up with that kind of lifestyle. I always pray every night before I go to bed for the people that need help, that don't have the strength to ask for it. Ask God. Ask God. He is there 24/7. He will help you. Just continue to pray for a better life, and please don't allow yourself to live in that kind of a situation, especially if you have children. I'm going to end this right now before I get more upset than what I am. I love everybody. I love all of you. I pray for everybody every night before I go to bed, and I really, really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like I said, I hope that you will find the courage and the strength to know you are worth more than being in that kind of an abusive relationship, because it's not right and it's not your fault. It's not your fault. So, with that said, I want to send good wishes your way, and please take care, and I will continue to keep everyone in my prayers and my thoughts. Till we talk again, please be safe, and I love yous. Bye for now.